Offensive lineman, Travis Gray from Colorado. One of the ones that I guess was told they wouldn't be around, which is a benefit for us because he's a good-looking kid and he's had a really good summer. And then an offensive lineman from Alabama State, Tarian Stafford. They call him Tito. He came in a little bit overweight at the beginning of the summer and has done a really good job trimming down during summer workouts. I think Coach Baker's done a great job. We've got a strong football team. And the last one, Caden Pope, true freshman wide receiver from Mississippi State. He's twitchy. They're not going to coach Arnett at Mississippi State, one of my really good friends. They're going to run something similar to us. Caden decided this is where he wanted to be rather than there. He went there as an air raid guy, and he can take the top off. He's fast, so he gives us another addition at wide receiver that will help depth-wise. Camp will be with, if you guys looked up, if you noticed, we got some new practice fields going in that aren't quite ready, won't be ready for a while. So Heather, and this is a testament to Eddie, David, the culture that we've built in our athletic department. Heather was great. We're going to use her soccer field, the practice up at Robertson, the north end of it. They sectioned off a place for us to use so we can practice on grass and not have to be limited to only practicing in the indoor or in the stadium, because I think natural grass is really good, especially for practice. So I'm very thankful to Heather for being so cooperative and generous with her facility, because we've got a great soccer facility, both practice and game day. We've got great facilities all the way around, and the best part about that, in trying to move up in this world and everything you do, facility improvements are the biggest thing. And trying to make our league, the Mountain West Conference, which is a great football league, better and better. And with all this stuff with realignment, which I have no control over, so I don't worry about it, but giving our league the best chance to be successful with whatever happens, because the Mountain West ain't going anywhere. And it's a great opportunity for our league right now to continue to get stronger and entice more TV opportunities than what's going on. So that's with what Eddie and David and those guys in our athletic department are doing with facilities. They just moved into a new building over there for the administration. We've got new coaches' offices over here next door at the Maloof. And then some of the things that we've done here at football have been just awesome and going in the right direction. As I stated when I first got this job, if you want the weight room downstairs, now I'm a firm believer in this. You get more out of what is currently being built than what you actually have, because everybody wants what they don't have, what they're going to get. So they did a great job. We got a ton out of that, and now we're using it, and it's beautiful. We're going to be able to do some renovations to our old one weight room to update it. So a lot of positive things going around here before we even get to the practice start of it. We'll start practice tomorrow. We'll practice anywhere from 7:30 at night to 3:30 in the afternoon to 9:30 in the morning. It'll give us opportunities to get in different weather. The last couple of days, we just got out of the crazy 100-degree onslaught that we had around here that we don't typically have. Getting into the monsoon, it's been cloudy every day, so I guess our guys are blessed. We get to go out there and practice in the shade and all that good stuff. The indoor, we'll use it when we have to. If we're going to practice at night for the time being until our stadium lights are done, which is another couple weeks away. If we at 7:30 practices, we'll be in the indoor. And then 9:30 and 3:30 will spread between the inside of the stadium, which we'll do on Saturdays, and Robertson fields for the other ones. So they'll have it'll be quite the change, which is good. And what they're doing out there with our practice facility is outstanding. We'll have they're going to level out the field so that we can go all four directions. We'll have goalposts on all four sides. It'll be, like everything else, they're doing it top notch, which is outstanding around here. Our football team, I'm excited about where we're at, strength-wise, where we're at as a football team in that aspect. It's taken a while to get there. For those of you that were here in the night of champions, we have a strong football team. We look like they're supposed to look. Now we have to get them to play like they're supposed to play. And that'll start with discipline and doing everything from the very beginning. We've killed ourselves on both sides of the ball with penalties in the last 2 years where the ball isn't moving. That has been a big focus all offseason, protecting our home stadium and eliminating the discipline issues or bad decisions. I mean, we're going to play on the verge of being too much, but they have to control that. We're going to play aggressive. We're going to play fast. We're going to play hard like we've always done, and we've got to play smart at the same time. Coach Vincent's done a great job. The offensive staff has done a great job getting everything installed to this point of what they want to install. We're probably still at around 80% of the offense being installed. Day one, the entire defensive package is still installed as it has been. It took us the good portion of 2.5 years to get where we want to get schematic-wise on defense. So we'll continue that way. We'll have everything in that we want in for the season defensively. And Coach Vincent will keep heading towards the direction of having everything they want in. We've done a lot. We've taken advantage of the opportunities that we have with the new NCAA rules for the off-season workouts and summer workouts to be able to get as much installed as we can. Now, I think the biggest thing, and I heard this a lot during Mountain West Conference Media Days, there's a lot of teams that have 40-plus new guys on their roster, us included. And there's positives and negatives to that. Obviously, if you were 2-10 like we were last year, you need better players, or you need players that can come into the addition of what you have to continue to help you. You want to be a good coach, you get good players. And the biggest, what do you want to call it, adversary to that whole situation for everybody is football is a game where the guy sitting next to you, you have to trust. You have to know that he's going to be there. You have to be familiar with them. It's a I don't like the word culture. The standard and the expectation of what you have for everybody needs to be met. And when you bring in 40 new guys, it can go either direction. It can go the new guys that they come in, and we've got several from TCU, Nebraska, schools, Power 5 schools, Colorado. We've got kids that if they come in with the wrong attitude, they can completely destroy your program. And that's where I was really proud of what we've done over the last 3 years is the standard and the expectation of our program. Our guys that were here, that have been here for 3 years, they took control and they took charge of how we were going to do things. And they made sure that the guys that came in weren't prima donnas, didn't think they were too good, didn't think they were better than us, and they're doing it our way. And we've done a ton of things over the course of the spring semester with all the new additions to get those guys to spend time together, hang out together. We took them whitewater rafting. We had the offensive coordinator take out the defense one night, defensive coordinator take out the offense one night. We've had them over at our house a couple times, swimming, basketball, bocce ball, cornhole, doing those things. We've spent a ton of time. Every Wednesday, we had a kickball tournament out here in the stadium. Every Wednesday during the summer, we did something as an entire team. And guys, they picked teams. They had 10 different teams of 15 guys, and they competed as those teams. And the 10 captains or the 10 guys on the leadership council that picked those teams, they couldn't pick a guy from their position. They had to pick guys from the opposite side of the ball before they could take a guy on their side of the ball. So we had 15 teams, or 10 teams of 15 guys of completely different dynamics. You had D linemen, O linemen, tight ends, wide receivers, corners, DBs, quarterbacks, kickers, punters. You got everything on all those teams. And I think it was really good. They came up with their own team names. You probably saw a couple of pictures on social media where you've got purple and green and orange and blue and all kinds of shirts. They created some team names and competed together in different facets. So we did a lot of things to do some team chemistry. All that stuff is nonsense if you don't have good enough players. We have a good enough quarterback. We have a good enough quarterback room. Obviously, there's not a controversy right now going into fall camp who our starting quarterback is. It's Dylan. Dylan has the second most starts in the Mountain West Conference behind Chevin Cordero at San Jose State. 19 wins in those 25 starts. I mean, that's an impressive deal. Dylan has played at a high level, but he's been in this system for 4 years, which was the most important piece. Obviously, the quarterback is the most important position on any football team, and having a guy that's been in the system when you're installing a new system and has played with the coordinator that's calling the plays gives you a significant advantage of moving a little bit faster than if you didn't have that opportunity. DC Tapscott, Devin Dampier, Justin Holiday, Isaiah Chavez, those guys did a great job in the spring, and then we added Aiden Armenta here in the summer. Those guys give us a really strong quarterback room. The two freshmen, Devin Dampier and Aiden Armenta being from La Cueva High School, those two are going to have a great battle for the next few years. The challenge is going to be keeping those two guys around because only one quarterback gets to play the majority of the game. And the competition between those two, and the greatest thing in the quarterback room right now is the relationship between not only Coach Vincent, but the rest of those guys, and how they're helping each other, and the communication that they have on the practice field during workouts in the weight room has been unbelievable. And when you've got it probably helped having Dylan solidify himself in the spring and not having 5 guys vying for the job ultimately to be the starter. Now, if one of those 4 come out in fall camp and have an unbelievable time, they can still beat Dylan. Nobody's set in stone, but he has the upper hand, obviously. And those guys are doing a great job. He's done a great job leadership-wise. When you take a guy that's been in your program for 6 months to media days, obviously he's done something. The guys like him. He's been a leader of our football team since January, which is really neat for a guy that came in at that time. Defensively, the guys that we're getting back from injury, Tavian Combs, who's been a great voice and a great leader for this football team, Alec Marenko, both those guys coming back from ACL surgery. We're excited that they are healthy. They're cleared to go. They'll be full go tomorrow. We will monitor so that we don't overdo them because they've done the rehab stuff, but it's different than playing actual football. So we'll make sure that we get them to game day. But our strength staff, Derek Baker leading the way and Bob Waller leading the way with our training staff, have done a phenomenal job with the guys that have had injuries. We've only got one guy that won't start fall camp tomorrow. Hunter Sellers had knee surgery to clean up a meniscus, so he'll be out for about 3 weeks. Other than that, the rest of the roster is available to practice full speed starting tomorrow, which is very untypical when you've had off-season surgeries. So you have to give all the credit in the world to the kids first, but then Bob and Derek for having plans and administering those plans to get those kids ready. Up front on defense, we finally look like you want them to look. Kyler Drake is a testament to the kid that's been in our program for 4 years now. He's 6'5", 280 pounds, and he's twitchy and he can move. Tyler Keeney, Bryce Santana, and Tavian Ford in the middle. Those guys are – Bryce Santana looks the body type-wise back to where he was coming out of high school, where he was 270 pounds. He was quick. He was the Wildcat quarterback for Los Lunas and all those things. He got a little bit too big. He did a great job this offseason, him and Tyler both getting their bodies where we need them to be quick and twitchy there in the middle. And then Gabe Lopez on the other side. Gabe is for those of you that remember Michael Toohey, and I'm putting a big expectation on him, but he's got similar body type. He's twitchy. He can move, and they have very similar personalities, which is fun to be around. Linebacker has been our deepest position around here and continues to be with Alec Marenko, Cy Riley, Ray Luatele, Demetrius Johnson, who was an addition in January. Those guys have played, not here being Dimitri, but the other ones have played significant time for us, and it's really nice to have Alex back. We added Cameron Robinson, and then we've got 3 young men that have been in our program for a couple of years that we're expecting to contribute both on defense and specifically on special teams. Jay-Sean Lowry from La Cueva High School, Tate Zimmerman from Irvine, California, and then Hunter Hammaker also from La Cueva High School. Those guys have had a great offseason. We need them to continue to produce on the field so that they can turn opportunities to play into the game. And then I think in the secondary, we're as fast as we've been. We have a couple guys still finishing up some academic stuff from the summer work. The guys that, and give credit to those, they had a lot of work to do. Some of the transfers and part of the transfer portal process that makes this very difficult is a couple of those guys did not start school until 4 to 5 weeks in the semester. They added classes on the last day of the drop deadline or add deadline so that they could get into school for the semester. And so they started 4 weeks behind in some of those classes. So catching up on some of those things. And then the biggest question of our football team, offensive line, where are we at? I think we have 11 guys that give us depth. I think we've got 5 starters that we really like up front. J.C. Davis and DJ Wingfield, the 2 tackles. DJ tore his ACL in warm-ups before we started the main game last year, played about 6 plays, and then they realized he had a torn ACL and MCL. The rehab, much like Alec and Tavian, has been outstanding. And those 2 guys have really put themselves in positions to be good players. And then inside, Colin James played really well towards the end of last year, got banged up a little bit, games 7, 8, and 9. He had a really good offseason, and bringing in some of the guys that we brought in, the Tyrion Staffords, Travis Grays, They've created competition. Sam Talesa, for the transfer from Georgetown, they've created great competition and have improved those guys in front of them. When you don't have somebody behind you pushing you, unless you're one of the elite people in sports, it's hard to get yourself better. And now that we have guys that are pushing those guys, we've improved up front, which, I mean, you won't know until we play on September 2nd how good they are, and then September 9th and 16th. But on paper and on the practice field, we've made significant improvement up front. And that's the biggest question mark of our football team is how's the O-line going to perform? And if you're not good enough up front on offense or defense, you don't have a chance anyway. So we have high expectations, and those guys will continue as we go through fall camp. We're going to beat them up a little bit. That's the philosophy that we've lived by for a long time, and then we'll have them fresh and ready to go by September 2nd when we open up in College Station, and we're excited for that opportunity. So I'm excited to start camp tomorrow. I mean, there's no point in talking to what kind of football team we're going to be because people are going to form their own opinion, and then they get to see us play. So that's what I'm excited about. So I'll open it up for anybody that has questions right now. That was easy. Go ahead, Sean.
You have 15 scheduled practices before week 1 practice starts up. What are you expecting to see, and what do you want to see out of the team in particular, even specific areas out of these 15 practices?
Well, obviously, I have to continue to develop on the offensive side of the ball. First, the acclimation periods, you have to go 2 days in helmets, 3 days in shells before you can put on full pads. We're going to beat each other up a little bit. We're going to run into each other and all those good things. The last scrimmage that we have will probably be August 19th, and then we'll use the next 2 weeks. Once they start school on the 21st, we'll use the next 2 weeks to start preparing for Texas A&M. But over the course of the first 15 practices, discipline, effort, and then, I mean, our mantra around here is effort, attitude, and want to. And they get to decide that. Nobody decides it for them. How hard are they going to practice? They have to be who they're going to be every single day in everything they do, whether it's the schoolwork they do, whether it's coming to practice, coming to meetings, coming to the weight room, because all that stuff, we got a strong football team, but you can lose that quick. We're going to still lift during fall camp and during the football season. And you don't lift, you lift to get better. You don't just go in there to go through the process to maintain. So over the course of the next 15 days, they're going to be tired. They're going to be grumpy. And that's how a football team should be. And then we'll use that last 2 weeks to recover. And I think Coach Baker's done a great job in that aspect of it, too. We've got 5 cold tubs set up out there outside the stadium out there that they'll go to every day. On top of the one that we have in the training room, we'll do some stuff differently where we stretch and yoga and all that stuff just to keep them limber. We'll build up into practice. We'll start at a certain amount of time, and then we'll go up to the 2-hour mark. We'll never be out there longer than 2 hours because if you can't get it done in 2 hours, you're doing something wrong if they practice the way we expect them to practice. Now, Coach Fran, in my playing days, he used to say all the time, do it right, do it light, do it wrong, do it long, and that has not changed. If they don't want to do it right, we'll stay out there forever. But I like the makeup of this football team and the attitude that they have.
You talked about on-field discipline a little bit today. I mean, how hard is it to work on on-field discipline during the season as opposed to just getting it kind of right and a good baseline in the preseason?
The hardest penalties in football are the ones that kill you are the ones when the ball is not moving. There's going to be a late hit every now and then. When they come in inopportune times on third down, those are the ones that are glaring. When you get 3 or 4 of those called against you, you earn a reputation, and then when they're close, they go the wrong way. Not doing that and not being a renegade bunch is how you avoid those opportunities. Now, if you're winning football games, it's amazing how sometimes you don't get those calls. And when you're losing football games, you get them. The 3 years that we were at San Diego State that we won the Mountain West Conference Championship, we had some calls go our way that were unbelievable. I mean, I'm sitting on the sideline going, I can't believe they called that. And the better you play, the more opportunities you have. And they don't do it on purpose. They're human beings. They see who the expected team is to win, and sometimes things go that way. You play hard. You play through the whistle. And you have to understand moments and shots to take and not to take on both sides of the ball. Holding, they can call holding on every single play. So, I mean, I wish they'd just make it legal as long as they don't tackle them, but they won't. So trying to not take opportunities that when you're reaching out and grabbing on somebody, I mean, eliminating those kind of things. And then the late hits and those things that extend plays, those are the worst things that kill a football team. And so we've done a lot of things in the off season, and we'll do it through fall camp, so that we can avoid those. You're going to have late hits here and there because that's the nature of the game for every team. It's when they happen in crucial times that your team becomes undisciplined, and that's how you look.
So then you guys mentioned that it was important to just get chemistry right with them, and then guys that have been here for so long. But in terms of the learning curve on the field, how are they kind of adjusting to fitting the system?
Because of the time that we've been able to allot to working together on both sides of the ball, we've made significant progress in the installation. I can't stress enough how much it helps to have the starting quarterback from that offense here helping to install that. It's like having a coach on the field that's actually playing, and that's been a huge asset to have. Chemistry, I mean, we've been very innovative in trying. Now, there's things you can't force. If they don't like each other, they don't like each other. And I think the guys on our football team really like each other. They do a lot of things together away from us. They do a lot of things together with us. Watching them during spring ball gave an idea. I mean, there's going to be your typical pushing and shoving because they get grumpy running into each other. That happens everywhere. But how they handle it off the field, how they handle it in the locker room, it's a huge testament to your team and who you are. And you don't ever hear about that stuff outside of here, but we get to see it. We get to see how they and our football team, they like being around each other. And when they like being around each other, we like being around them, which makes it even more fun and the opportunities better. No. No, I mean, there'll be stuff, and we do this every year on defense too. There'll be stuff that they haven't run at UAB for a few years that they'll go back and dissect and see how you can add it to the package. I don't know that you ever typically get 100% of the offense in or 100% of the defense in, but I think Coach Vincent really likes where we're at in that aspect of it. And then now, once we get into 2 weeks from now, once we get into game planning, you can dial some of those things in. But if you don't have the base of what you're trying to do schematically on either side of the ball, then you're just throwing things at a wall and hoping they stick. And we've got the identity of who we're going to be on both sides of the ball, which has been a struggle around here offensively. There's no question. I mean, we're an outside zone team. We're going to throw the ball. We're going to take our shots and be able to move the ball offensively. We're going to be aggressive and chaotic on defense. And if we can continue the trajectory that we've had on defense and improve on offense, then that gives you a chance to be a competitive football team.
What is it that excites you most about this team? Obviously, it's a completely different game before you guys come in. And you're saying most of the teams are in the same position. What are you most excited about this team? You got more size, more speed. What's the biggest challenge?
Well, one, we're strong enough. We have a swing behind our hammer now. We haven't had that. We won't get bullied around. We won't get pushed around. I mean, we've won and we've been competitive by being that guy, being the one that don't get knocked off the ball. The line of scrimmage is either a stalemate or it's going our direction. We'll finally have an opportunity to do that. Now, when we play Texas A&M, that'll be the most talented football team that we play all year. And I know this. Our kids are excited to play them. I mean, that's good. I think in 21, I think they were excited to go on a trip to Texas A&M. I don't know if they were excited about the football game. And we gave up 2 touchdowns in the first 2 minutes, and then all of a sudden we play okay for another 3 quarters until it got out of hand midway through the fourth quarter. Half of that's attitude. So I like the attitude of our football team. I like the makeup of the chemistry of our football team. And now we get to practice for the next 2 weeks, which is a lot of fun. We'll continue to see that grow, and we'll see what we need to correct as we go along. We'll have an idea of, one, who gets dinged up during camp. You're going to have your injuries. We'll know who we're going to have the opportunity to go into battle with when we start on September 2nd. The great thing, and now I miss two-a-days and having the opportunity to go out there and run into each other twice a day. When two-a-days was a significant thing, and this is I'm going to go back to my time at Arizona State. Frank Cush, who did an unbelievable job there in the 70s, he came up with a deal. I mean, they used to take him to Camp Tonazona up in Payson. Well, those guys, and this is when Coach Long was playing and those guys, you didn't get to keep those guys here for the summer. They went home and they had summer jobs, and You gave them a paper and you told them to work out, and hopefully they did. The majority of them did not. So when they came back to campus for fall camp on August 3rd or 4th, whenever you started, they weren't in good shape. If you tried to play a football game, you'd kill them because it takes great cardiovascular. It takes strength. Well, in Tempe, you can't do that when it's 120 degrees outside. You'll literally kill somebody. And he was innovative enough to take them up into the mountains up in Payson and did something really special and got those guys into shape. And then they won numerous WAC championships. We had some great battles with them in the early 70s when Coach Cush was the coach and New Mexico was in the WAC and Arizona State was in the WAC. You don't need that time anymore because we get them. Football players are student athletes. There's 52 weeks in a year. We can make workouts mandatory 43 of those weeks where it's not voluntary. They get 9 discretionary weeks throughout the year. So it's a full-time job for those guys. We take advantage of that. We try and make it now they're students first. And you can tell we've made a big emphasis of that off of our GPA and what we've done academically. But they're student athletes, they're college kids. And using our time wisely so we don't burn them out, you don't need 2-a-days anymore. We get to work them out all summer long and have fun to do those things. So when they show up tomorrow, they'll be in great cardiovascular shape. What they're not going to be in is football shape. And that takes a good 2 weeks to get them in. And you can do it once a day. And then we get opportunities during the day for walkthroughs and all those things. So at the end of the 15 days, we need to be in great football shape. They should be miserable and hurt and sore and all those things from running into each other. That's the fun part of playing football is those things. And then we take 2 weeks to get them fresh. And then after the Texas A&M game, they should feel absolutely awful physically. And then you build them up for a week and you do that all over again. And what's amazing is that doesn't sound fun. That is so fun. And that's why the guys that not everybody plays football because it's not easy. But you got 115 guys in here that absolutely love every single aspect of it because it's way too much work for those 43 weeks if you don't. So that's what we want to get is to be in football shape at the end of the 15 practices and then try and heal them up before we play. What else? O-line still. One young man I want to give a lot of credit to, much like Kyler Drake, is Jamarcus Bailey. 6'7", 320-pound, has leaned himself out, has seen an opportunity. He's got an opportunity to fight for one of the guard starting spots. That's the kind of people that we've been successful with, kids that you bring into your program, you develop him and the Kyler Drakes, Ray Luateles, Tavian Combs, those guys that have been with you for a while, which makes it harder to do with the transfer portal and the one-time transfer. If the NCAA holds up and doesn't allow 2-time transfers, it'll be great. But watching the offensive line compete and some of those guys behind those guys, which we haven't had pushing for a starting job, will make our entire football team better. And then I'm really excited to see what our tight ends do. I keep telling Coach Selfo that if our tight ends can't play them, then it's coaching because they look like they're supposed to. They'll be pretty getting off the bus. Now they gotta learn how to use that hammer and swing it the right way. So I'm excited to watch those guys. And then on defense, if you want to be good, you have to be really good up front. And we're big enough up front. If we can get some pressure with a 4-man rush at times, we could be really good on defense. If we have to manufacture it and we're going to be aggressive, we're going to blitz. If we have to blitz more often than not, then you put yourself at a risk to give up big plays. So I'm excited to continue to see the development. Our spring ball, we were better up front than we ended last year, which is positive. And then Joey Noble is going to be a GA here. He'll start now here in a couple days. He's 240 pounds, and he did some unbelievable things against schools like Texas A&M. So having him be here to help, and I think him and Byron Bell and DeAndre Wright, former guys that have played for us and have played at a high level, they relate to those guys. They're their age. I think they're doing a phenomenal job, and I think they're good young coaches. So it'd be excited to watch those guys up front too. Correct. There's discipline, and that's it's a word that can be taken misconstrued. That if you're an undisciplined team, you've got bad guys. That's not the case. Discipline comes into everything you do. starting from stretch? Are you going to do stretch? I mean, we talk about our guys, effort, attitude, want to. You decide what kind of effort you're going to give, what's your attitude, whether you're going to be a good guy, a bad guy, and how bad you want it. What's your burn? What's your fight? You decide that. Nobody decides that for you. And when you're stretching, are you going through the motion to get ready for practice? Because if so, then it's going to take you 4 or 5 periods to get going, and you've wasted 30 minutes of 115 guys' time, not just yours. You've wasted everybody's time because the guy sitting next to you is the most important guy in the room. And so the penalties that hurt us last year, we had a late hit on the sideline against UNLV. He wasn't out of bounds, in my opinion. So we want them to play on the verge of that. The call didn't go our way. We also had a late hit on a quarterback against Utah State that was so far after the whistle on a 3rd down that we stopped them backed up at their end at the beginning of the second half. It changed the momentum of the game. That's a lack of discipline of not knowing the situation. So continuing to harp on those things, we significantly cut down our penalty yardage from the year before. But the ones that stand out when you're a 2-10 football team are the ones that happen in crucial moments that cost you football games. I mean, a 2-10 football team that's in a 1-score game in the fourth quarter, 8 of those 12 games, is little things that are beating you. One, we weren't good enough on offense. We couldn't score points. We averaged 12 points a game. If you're going to average 12 points a game and you're going to kill yourself with a penalty here and there in a crucial situation on defense, those things are going to be glaring and they're going to stand out. So we need to continue to eliminate those and obviously score points. I mean, told Coach Vincent, score 50 points a game. We'll win a whole bunch of games around here. Not realistic, but we can score 28 points a game. We can have a really good football team. We'll see what happens. What else?
In talking about competition at various positions, you talked a ton about the offensive line. Running back is one that I think is really interesting. What are your kind of views in that position right now and how everything is kind of developing? Is somebody kind of at the front of the pack right now?
There's nobody at the front of the pack right now. We've got great depth in that room. The one that's getting the most accolades is Christian Washington because of what he did as a kick returner last year. He's explosive. He's strong. Andrew Henry, the young man from Louisiana Monroe, he's had a really good offseason. I mean, if you see some of the stuff on Twitter of him running up the sandhills, that's some impressive stuff. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, who we just added from Alabama State, a 6'2", 205-pound kid that is fast. He might be as fast as Christian Washington. Gives you a big back that we haven't had around here. Dorian Lewis has put himself in the conversation from what he's done in the spring ball around here. Sherrod White. I mean, we have a Zach Vigil. We have a lot of depth in that room. What we're going to establish is one of those guys is going to be a guy that gets 22 to 25 carries a game. Because I think the hardest guys to defend as a defensive guy are guys that get into a rhythm. And the offensive line knows what they have to do and where that guy's going to be. And the holes, they might be this big, but if they know that guy's going to be there, they know how to position themselves. So we're going to have a great battle in that room, and one of them's going to be really happy. And then when we get to December, we're going to have to start recruiting the rest of them to stick around here because they're all going to want to play, and we're going to find the best one. And then the other guys will get – I mean, we'll find one of them that'll get 10 to 12 carries a game. And I mean, competition drives success. And there's depth in that room. We'll just have to figure out who the best one is. But nobody has a leg up right now. And that's the best part of that room. So going back to Brad's conversation, I'm kind of excited to watch that one too. Yes, sir.
You talked about this from the beginning with regards to the transfer portal. And I think this year is the first time that we've got a chance to see it with your roster. You said that you guys are recruiting young players, and now they're also recruiting older players. Rosters are going to get full, and there's going to be a trickle down. And your roster, to me, has an influx of new, quote-unquote, Power 5 players like we haven't seen before. And maybe this is the first time we'll get to see if that other impact. You know, the thing that gets talked about a lot is the player that gets taken away and the players that are lost to the Power 5. But it could work to a Lobo's advantage this year, could it not?
It definitely could. I think there's a lot of schools in our league that are in a similar situation there. And now I'm going to go back a little bit. I think it was 2016. We had a really, really good team at San Diego State. DJ Pumphrey was running back, Rashad Penny. We had DeMonte Casey. I mean, we had the 3 Mountain West Conference Players of the Year. We were ranked in the top 15 in the country. Our top 22 were as good as anybody in the country. But if we lost somebody, we didn't have the depth to recover. And that was the significant difference when we beat a Houston team 34-10 that beat Oklahoma and beat Louisville. The thing that the Power 5 schools are having right now is all their 2s want to play. They don't want to sit behind the guy that's in front of them. And if they can move right now and go somewhere, there's a lot of them taking that opportunity. 30% of the transfer portal, they transfer, I hate to use this word down, but they transfer down a level. They go from Power 5 to Group of 5, or they go from Group of 5 to FCS, or they go from FCS to Division II because they want opportunity. There's very few that go from Power 5 to Power 5 unless it's for money. And the Power 5 coaches, Mac Brown's a good friend of mine, mentor of mine. He says that their depth is just it gets stolen from them because those kids want to play. They're either going to other Power 5 schools where they have an opportunity to start for money, or they're coming to us. And the advantage and the model that we're trying to use is take young guys in that aspect. Take guys that have 3 or 4 years. Max has 4 years. All 3 of the kids from TCU have multiple years, 3 years. Noah Paul Gates has 2 years. Travis Gray has 4 years. I mean, the opportunity there, I said earlier, if the NCAA holds up and doesn't allow these guys to free market transfer every year, you can still develop a football team. But we're probably going to have a little bit more talented player than the kid that we used to recruit out of high school that was a hidden gem that nobody found that took us 4 years to develop them. Well, if we do that now in that 4th year, guess what? They're going to be gone because somebody's going to come in with a pocket of money and they're going to be gone. If we get them now and they transfer here as true freshmen, they have to sit out a year. And let me tell you this, there is zero market for somebody to sit out in a program because you can just go get somebody that can play right now. So we've adjusted our model a little bit. The hard ones are the ones, the high school kids that we recruit that they leave because there's A.J. Halsey's a perfect example. He didn't have to sit out. He's practicing for Houston right now. So we'll continue down that path and continue to recruit good players that way. But I think that's a great, really good synopsis. Awesome. Thank you guys for coming. I'm excited about our opportunity to compete. And the last 3 years have been miserable. Year 4, from the very beginning when I said it, was the year that we expect to be a competitive football team. And so let's fill up University Stadium and see what we got. Appreciate it. Go Lobos.